Alrighty. And we are live. Excellent, excellent. All right, let me just check some settings really quick. Hello, everyone. Um, all right, audio looks good. Video looks good. Fantastic. Happy Sunday, everyone. Good morning or good evening, good afternoon, wherever in the world you may be. Thank you so much for joining. It's Sunday again. It's that time again. Jump into some Q&As. Hello, Northwest Wind. Thank you. Thank you. I enjoy these Q&As too. I'm really looking forward to these. Yeah. Thank you. Hello, Robin. Hi. Hello. IK, Lissy, Tracy. Hey, guys. Yay. Awesome. Oh, this is going to be a good day. And for those of you, I know here in America, it's Memorial Day weekend, so happy Memorial Day weekend. I don't know what other countries may be celebrating it as well, if any. But either way, I hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. And for those who are enjoying a 4-day weekend, I hope you are extra lazy and happy. Hello, Vivian. Hi. Chi-chan. Hello. Oh, yay. Melanie, Leela, Jen. Hello. Awesome. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. We'll go ahead and dive in here in just a moment. As always, I like to give it a good 30 seconds to a minute to let people get notified, come on in, get settled, get a cup of coffee or tea, and get comfortable. Hello. John, I love how your greetings are always like emojis making weird faces. Not saying anything, it's just emoji. Good morning to you too. Well, good evening where you are. Thank you for joining. Hello, Mohammed. Happy Sunday. Yay. What a great group here. Indeed, Tracy. Indeed. Indeed. Yep. Oh, there goes my cat. Hang on. Yeah. Okay, gotta let her out. One sec, guys. Sorry. The thing about cats, they are so damn stealthy, I forget she's even in here. At least with dogs, they make their presence known. They make their presence very known. With cats, it's like, well, I have no idea until she's like trying to claw my door down. Hello, Jasmine. Hello, Robkey. Simone, hi. Oh, excellent, excellent. Yay. A lot of my favorite people are in here. Good, good. And we've already got a good number of people that have joined us. So let's go ahead and just jump on in and start some Q&As. Once again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for joining me for another live Q&A on this lovely Sunday. Hope it is going incredibly well for you. Really quick announcements before diving in. The waitlist for one-on-one coaching opened and almost immediately closed again. So, but fear not, for those of you who were not able to get in and were on the wait list, I do have a couple more openings coming up in a little bit. Also, I've got the Mindset Mastery program that is going to be starting next month in June. I've got all the information down below in order to, if you want to go ahead and take a look at that, get more information about it, as well as my Manifest a Specific Person Mastery class, which is the 5-week program that dives into everything that I did, my epiphanies, and what I needed to understand to successfully turn my situation from no contact to happily married. So anyways, all of that is down below. You can go check that out if you're interested. And was that everything? Check my notes. Yep. Without further ado, let's jump into some questions. Well, first, let me get some caffeine. Hang on. There we go. Oh, Chi-chan? Missy, I did the telephone technique, hearing my friend's voice congratulating me on getting a perfect score on a test, and I managed to get a perfect score without studying. I am so happy. That is awesome. That is awesome, and that is what I'm talking about. Yes, Chi-chan, excellent. Congratulations. Yeah, the telephone technique is incredible. It's an incredible one. It's one that I utilize all the time. The inner conversations where you are hearing the congratulations, a scene that is implied that this outcome has worked in your favor. I love it. I love it. Amazing. Anu has an important question right out of the gate. I love this. Hi, Missy. Is the inside movement more important than the outside movement? Since the outside is an automatic reflection of the inside. Yes, yes, yes. 1000% yes. It is. The 3D is just it's just the mirror. It's going to be always reflecting what is happening internally. So when I work with people, when I'm coaching people, I'm not looking for 3D updates. I mean, that's cool and awesome when they happen, but more importantly to me, what I'm looking for is internal movement, internal shifting, right? A change in our reactions in our day to day. That those shifts that we notice within ourselves as we're continuing to imagine the desired outcome, right? So 100,000 million bazillion percent yes. The inside movement is the important part. And that's actually what we want to use that as a gauge. We want to use that as our gauge to see if it's working or not, what, what progress is being made, for lack of better words. But yeah, 1000% yeah, it's all internal. And my last video was really all about driving that point home. So, yes. Finding my spot again. When manifesting an SP, if we visualize, should we change beliefs? Or we can just keep manifesting by visualizing it and dropping it. So when manifesting a person, if we visualize, is it going to change our beliefs? Do we need to change our beliefs, or do we just need to visualize it and then drop it? A combination of all of that. So the techniques that we do, excuse me, the techniques are just to help capture the feeling of what that would be like. Because ultimately that is how we change our beliefs. We change our beliefs through imagination. That's the tool that we have to change the dominant beliefs and assumptions that we have. Whatever core beliefs and assumptions that have been formed through the years, especially from childhood, we change that through imagination, right? And specifically the feeling of it, the feeling of naturalness, the feeling of just that this is normal to me now. This state of consciousness, this desired outcome feels normal to me now because that's what I've been imagining, right? So it's going to begin to recondition those beliefs. So yeah, that's why we visualize. That's why we use affirmations. It's not the technique itself that manifests. It's not that just doing this one thing is going to, in and of itself, change the 3D. It's a tool to change ourself, and thus the 3D changes. Yeah, because inevitably you'll get to a point where you'll naturally drop it. You'll naturally want to drop it. There will not be any desire to continue to imagine and continue to visualize or use affirmations. That's going to go away. because as you move into a new state, which is the entire point, right? We're using the techniques to change our beliefs and thus move states. We're not going to need to continue to do that from the state of the wish fulfilled. From when we're in the wish fulfilled, we're not going to need to do anything. So yeah, the techniques are to change the beliefs, change the state, and thus change the 3D. Yeah. Good question, though. Law of thought transmission says that our thoughts are transmitted to others, but imagination, e.g., affirmations, are to change us. This confuses me. Yeah, so, and I know you're referring to when Neville talked about, I believe it's in the book Prayer, the Art of Believing, where he talks about thought transmission. And one thing that's going to be helpful to understand is what Neville taught and specifically his beliefs um, changed through the years, right? Like he continued to evolve in the years and the decades that he was studying the Bible and lecturing and just becoming more and more aware of the law. Um, so a lot of the things that he taught did change. That's why it seems like there's like in a couple places it almost looks like he's contradicting himself. Well, the way to kind of look at it is he experienced the promise in 1959 after he had written all his books. All his books except for one. So pre-promise, right, before he had that experience, there were still some limiting ideas that he held on to, right, from the looks of it. After the promise, he did away with, I mean, that's where he fully went all in on anything is possible. Anything is possible. And that's when he started to talk more about states of consciousness and multiple realities, infinite realities, things like that. So the way that Neville talked about the law of thought transmission in Prayer, the Art of Believing was, I mean, not to say that it's inaccurate, but basically what we're doing, and always, all that we're doing is moving states, right? So whatever the dominant thoughts, beliefs, and all of that determines the state that we live in. And the version of our person is going to be different depending on the state, right? So you move into a new state with a different version of them, they're going to show up differently. And it may even feel like they're, picking up on whatever you've been thinking. Well, that's because you moved into a state where they are outpictured in the way that you've imagined them. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I know it can be kind of confusing, but basically, we're not literally beaming thoughts into other people's heads. All we're doing is moving states where different versions of our person are existing across infinite states of consciousness. So it is all the change within us. Like everything that we're doing is to change the self. And so ultimately it is us. Because we're the only ones that are moving. In our reality, we're the only ones that move. I hope that makes sense. I know that could be a little bit confusing, but yeah. So the key thing to take away is that yes, it's always us that is moving, and the entire aim here is to change the self. Like there's no one to change but self, basically. So awesome that you take the time to do this. Yeah, you are absolutely welcome, Northwest Wind. It's a pleasure. Any tips on what to do when I'm not sure what I should do with my future? Enjoy all the insight you Oh, thank you. Any tips on what to do when you're not sure what I should do with what we should do with our future? Yeah, absolutely. Um, and I know yeah, that the feeling of stuck and not certain of what to do. I would personally, and I certainly have in the past, um, do some inner exploration. If we are not clear on what we desire or what that looks like, if it feels like, we don't know, I mean, the way to find out, the way that we wanna start to approach that is just doing inner exploration. And first just asking the question, like, "What do I enjoy? Like, what brings me joy? What brings me satisfaction? Like, do I feel like I have, a purpose? Do I feel like there's something that I was put here to do? Do I have, what are my skills? What are things that I'm good at? What are things that I enjoy doing? Do I wanna help people?" Right? And just, I mean, take the pressure off of yourself, right? I know easier said than done, but just let yourself do some inner exploration. And and we have to do this from the place of there's no strings attached. There's no barriers to any of it. Like, whatever comes up, let it come up. Even if it feels difficult, even if it feels impossible, don't let those things hold you back. Like, do some inner exploration on what brings you happiness, satisfaction, and what would you enjoy if you knew for certain that all things were possible, right? No conditions, nothing's off the table. Just give yourself complete and total access to anything that is possible and see what comes up for you. See what comes up for you. And again, a lot of the times that happens because of the conditions that we put, right? We keep ourselves very much confined in a little box because of what we think is possible, what we think is doable. Um, yeah. So take those conditions off and let yourself just do some exploration. No strings attached. You will be amazed what happens and what comes up for you. Hey, Missy, in your opinion, when playing the lottery, should we focus on the numbers or just the feeling that we've won? It's done, finished. I dream about numbers quite often. Can I use them? Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely the feeling. Definitely focusing on the feeling, right? You're imagining the end. You're imagining the outcome. Um, whatever numbers that is, no matter, no matter. Your only job consciously is to tap into that feeling of what that's like, what that would be like for you. And if you have numbers coming up to you in a dream, I mean, I would use them. Absolutely, because God speaks to us in the medium of dreams, right? That's sort of our window to the subconscious mind. So anything coming through, I would. Congratulations on your lotto win. Movement with SP. He texted me asking for his belt. I haven't had it in over a year. It begins. It begins, Robin. Hi, Missy from Hawaii. Hello. Hello. Oh, I miss Hawaii. Thank you for joining, Tanya. Could you talk about inner conversations and the how of doing them? I have greater difficulty believing them than affirmations. Yeah, no, well, first and foremost, you don't have to believe them. And in fact, at first, you're probably not going to. So, take that pressure off of yourself that you need to have full-throated conviction in your inner conversations right away. No. Um, and as far as how we do them, well, we're already doing that. We're already we already have an internal dialogue going all the time anyways. Sometimes that's with other people, sometimes that's just talking to ourself in our mind, but w we're always doing it. We're always already doing it. So I guess the how would be just like with anything else. You're just kind of guiding the conversation consciously instead of unconsciously. That's really the only difference. But where many people get stuck is trying to force themselves to believe it, and from the place of, "I need to do this to manifest this thing." Like, that's gonna put a tremendous amount of pressure, and right away, it's gonna feel very forced, it's gonna feel like it can't move, it's gonna feel very fake, basically. So we wanna remove the condition of, "I need to do this to manifest this thing," and just have the conversations for shits and giggles, right? Because they're feel good to do so, right? If we have the options of, spinning around in a negative place and negative thoughts and negative conversations versus ones that are ideal, ones that are nice, ones that make us feel good. I mean, right? So do take some pressure off of yourself. Like it sounds like you're trying to force yourself to believe something that you don't believe. Don't force it. Don't force it. You know, yeah. Move away from the angle of doing this to get something. Do it to get familiar with how awesome it feels. Because it would. It feels awesome. Can you tell me what you did to manifest your SP? Like, you kept visualizing? Um, yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. So I've made a couple of videos about that, which you can check out, where I go into a lot more detail. There's my original SP story, which if you haven't seen, I would check that one out. Um, but I also made a video titled "What You Need to Know to Manifest Your Specific Person," and in that I go into more detail on exactly like what I did, and sort of the mentality and the mindset that I was using going into it. Right? I mean, I did visualize. I did do sats, inner conversations. Isn't it wonderful? I mean, the techniques, revision, did a boatload of revision, but I guess the aim that I came to, what I realized I needed to change was my approach to manifestation itself. I needed to get familiar with, I needed to get to know the version of Missy Renee that is already living in this state. The version of Missy Renee that is already living as the person that is in a loving relationship with her partner. And I kept going back there. But do check out the videos that I made. Do check out those videos. They should be helpful for you. Yeah. Hello, Manny. Welcome, welcome. Misty, how do you feel about doing affirmations in sessions? For example, divide the day into 3 sessions of 10 minutes of affirmations. I mean, yeah. You mean in batches, so to speak? I mean, absolutely. If that feels if that feels good to do, if that's something that doesn't feel, so long as it doesn't feel like a chore, then 100%. Yeah. Like I said, it's gonna be different for everybody. If that resonates with you, if that's what feels more natural to do versus maybe trying to do it all day long, absolutely. Really, the only thing that we wanna remember is that this is not supposed to be a chore. This is not supposed to be work. If it feels like work and it feels like you're, doing too much, that's because we're doing too much. We're trying too hard. But yeah, Tijan, that sounds perfect. Hey, Missy, should I give up on SP? Every time I manifested him back, he was gone very quickly. I couldn't keep him. Now I feel, what is the point of doing techniques if he will go again? It's been so long. I'm so sorry, Tina. First and foremost, I have been there quite literally. Yeah, I've manifested my husband back just to have him turn around and leave again. It's not, yeah, to say it's painful is an understatement. And ultimately that I cannot tell you what to decide as far as, what you should do in that circumstance. What I will suggest and what I will recommend is perhaps we need to turn the attention now on you, on us, right? Like, we're ultimately doing this for us, and this we always need to be the focus here. If nothing else, we're doing this to help us change, right? If we're thinking about manifestation or manifesting NSP from the place of I need to change them, I need to do this to change them, that is going to feel very challenging. And if when they do come back, if we have not focused on changing the concept of self, then we're likely to fall right back into that old state. So, like I said, it is entirely up to you as far as what to do, but I guess the point of these techniques is to change us. It's not to change them. It's not to change them. It's to change ourselves. They will change. Like, everything out there is a perfect reflection. So I would give up the idea of doing the techniques to change the SP. I would give that up. But giving up on manifestation altogether, I mean, again, it's entirely up to you, but we're always manifesting. This is something we're doing all the time, right? So if we want to see change in the 3D, it's ultimately about the change within us. So perhaps, approaching it from a different perspective will help make this a little bit easier and take some of that frustration and some of that, sadness out of the equation. Yeah. Does smoking weed affect manifestation? Does smoking weed affect manifestation? I mean, in the sense of, is it gonna make it work or not, or is it gonna have an effect on if it's possible or not? No, no. Um, yeah, yeah. Whatever, whether we're sober or drunk or high, it's all the same as far as we manifest based on the dominant state, the dominant beliefs that we have, right? Um, Now, if smoking weed helps you to relax more, if it helps to take some anxiety off, if it is helpful for you, then it's helpful, right? That would be affecting in a good way, right? But, that said, if it affects you in a way that is not ideal, I mean, in that only sense, I guess, yeah. Like, if we notice a change in how we're approaching things, I guess. Like, if weed is making you more anxious, more, um, feeling more on edge, then perhaps. But, I mean, is it going to have a huge impact on your manifestation? Like, is it gonna make it so it's not possible? I don't think so. I don't think so. No. Abdullah used to say to Neville, because when Neville first met Abdullah, he was, very much straight edge. No smoking, no drinking, abstinent from sex, all of that, and and Abdullah told Neville, like, "You have too many quibbles. Like, stop, like, just enjoy life, basically. Enjoy life. So if it's helpful for you, then awesome." Oh, Tracy, yes. Experiencing some good inner shifts and dominant dwelling place is moving, all by playing in imagination and giving myself whatever I want. That's yes. Yes. Awesome. That's it. Oh, that's wonderful to hear. Yes. All by playing in imagination and giving myself what I want. Yes. Yes, that's it. That's it. That's it. You got it. It is so cool. What role has gratitude played in your manifesting? Some say it's a magic ingredient. I mean, what role has gratitude played? I'd say it's played a considerable role. It has. That's my all I really do consciously, for the most part, is something like, "Isn't it wonderful?" And really just capture that state of gratitude. But it is genuine gratitude, and that's where, I wanna be clear, trying to force ourselves to be grateful when perhaps things are not great and perhaps things are terrible, and we're trying to lie to ourselves, that's never gonna work. So in that sense, no, we don't wanna try to coerce ourselves into feeling grateful when we're not, right? So gratitude is an incredibly powerful, uh, I guess, ingredient, for lack of better words, but when it's genuine. I know when I was getting started on this journey, I certainly did not have a whole lot of things to be grateful about. Um, I know that sounds kind of ass, but it's true. I was very, very bitter, very jaded. So if I had tried to get myself to do it from that state, no, it would not have helped. Um, but if you are able to tap into that genuine feeling of gratitude, oh, that's just like chef's kiss. Like, you're good. I lost my spot. I'm missing my SP lots lately. The breakup had a negative impact on my self-image. I'm overwhelmed where to start, as I feel like I have to do a 180 on self-concept to manifest and plus keep it for good. Any tips? Yeah, I'm so sorry, Lissy. Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed. It is so easy to get overwhelmed on this journey. Um, Especially if I know for me, I was very much an overthinker. Like, my brain would just compile on all of these components, and it was maddening. Um, yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed. And I guess the first thing that we wanna do is sort of reel that back in, right? When we catch ourselves thinking like, "Oh god, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this," like, rein that in for a minute, and just say, "No, okay, pause. We don't have to do anything." All right? So we can take a breath. We don't have to do a bunch of stuff. This is not about doing things, exerting effort and energy. Um, if you are noticing a lot of anxiety, if you're noticing feeling very anxious, the first thing that I would do is start to get into a good meditation practice. And honestly, I would recommend that for everyone anyways, because when it comes to manifestation, having a meditation practice is going to help. It's just going to, no matter what you're trying to do. Like, when we can learn to, like, really have that more disciplined mind from practice of, like, reining it in, so to speak, it's just going to be helpful, right? So start with adding some meditation in your day to day. If you already meditate, then, do something of a loving kindness meditation, right? Like, just if it feels like you have to do a bunch of stuff, just drop that, go back to the first principle, and just give yourself some kindness, give yourself some love, give yourself, a break, basically. Focus on your breathing, focus on deep, long breaths, focus on shutting off the fight or flight mode, because for most people, we're in fight or flight most of the time. And yeah, it's going to feel very challenging to relax and ultimately manifest from that state. So, I would begin to introduce meditation, specifically a loving kindness meditation, and just give yourself that kindness. Give yourself the relief and the grace to say you don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. Right now, just focus on taking care of you. First and foremost, guys, take care of you. Take care of your mental health to the best of your ability. Give yourself whatever you may need in those moments and in your days, right? All of the things that need to happen to get SP back and to ultimately see your manifestation come to pass, that's not on you consciously. Like, that's all God. God's the one maneuvering everything behind the scenes. We don't have to do all that. We don't have to worry about all that. We just want to take care of ourselves. Focus on giving ourselves that love, that grace, whatever that looks like for you. So I would start with loving kindness and just really remembering that this is not a job that you have to do. There's not a whole lot of things that you need to figure out how to do. All of that will be sorted. I don't know if you've ever had moments in life where it seems like everything just fell into place and it was just seamless, right? Like you got from point A to point B and it was just so natural, like things just literally seemed to happen for you perfectly. It's that's God. That's God. So, loving kindness. Start there. I'm noticing that as I go along with this process, I'm becoming my dream self each day, which has been so nice. Awesome. Yes. Awesome, Northwest Wind. That's yes. Fantastic. That's what we're talking about. And you will. That's what happens. As we really, get the hang of this, as we begin to just let ourselves play in imagination, day by day, you're gonna notice that internal shifting happen. That's that. Keep going. Sorry for the basic question, but no need to apologize. Is it really possible to manifest any person? No exceptions? Yeah, no exceptions. Mm-mm. If you can imagine it, like if you can bring it up in imagination, that is an experience you can have. Yeah, so quite literally, it is 100% possible to manifest anyone. Doesn't matter. Hi, what's your personal favorite technique or way to manifest? For example, if Missy wanted to manifest a new car, what would you personally do? What's your favorite thing? Thanks. Absolutely, Sean. Good question. Um, my favorite thing is, isn't it wonderful? That coupled with inner conversations, sometimes called the telephone technique. I do a lot of inner conversations, and just cultivating that general state of satisfaction, that general state of everything is wonderful. Like, isn't it wonderful? Quite literally. Now, if there's something specific that I want, like to use your example there, if I have a specific car in mind that I want to get, I will imagine, like, construct the visual image in my mind of, you know, enjoying that car, right? Perhaps I'm in it, I'm driving it, I can feel my hand on the steering wheel, I can see the dashboard, see me flying down the Pacific Coast Highway, the PCH. So something along that line. So I would do that, but I would only maybe do that once. And after that, it's once that seed is planted, it's done, right? So for something specific, I do visualize, um, but more often than not, I'm using "Isn't it wonderful?" and inner conversations. Yeah. I finally met up with SP 3 times already, but he kept reminding me that he's with someone and they were taking it slow. But why did he ask to see me? Been manifesting for him to come back for good. Oh, I'm so sorry, Rainey. Um, so you finally met up with SP already, but he kept reminding. So if what you're noticing is like hot and cold behavior, so to speak, from the sounds of it, right? Like inconsistencies, basically, right? Like there's movement in the sense that you're seeing him, you're talking to him, you're meeting up with him, but it's not going in the way that you want it to go. Um, you know, that's our double-mindedness. That is our own double-mindedness. When we go from one moment feeling very confident, feeling very certain, like, "Yes, it's done. I got this. It's in the bag. I know he's mine. I know he wants me. I'm good." And then going to, "Is this working? What's happening? Are they with some" like, all of these doubts and fears start coming in, and going back and forth between those 2 states is what I mean, this is what is mirrored. We get if we do see movement in the 3D, it's very not what we want, right? It's inconsistent and it's not it's not entirely what we want. Um, why did he ask to see you? I mean, that is entirely for you to like when we ask questions like that, but why did he come to see me? Why does he want to do this? Why did he do that? It's whatever meaning we give to it. The answer to that question is whatever meaning you are giving to it. Basically, you're answering that question with whatever you believe, right? Um, why did he come to see you? Well, what do you think that answer is? And whatever that answer is the answer because we give meaning to everything, right? We give meaning to literally everything that we encounter. So when we think thoughts along the lines of what are they doing? What are they thinking? What are they feeling right now? Why are they doing this, this, and that? Um, whatever we believe and assume is what they're feeling, thinking, and doing, right? Because we're the ones giving meaning, because we're the ones moving in and out of states, and whatever version of that person is going to be based upon what we believe and assume. So if I think that somebody like is, you know, like just giving me the runaround, then that's what is going to be the experience, right? So we want to be mindful about the questions that we ask in that sense of what version of them are you talking about, right? Kind of going back to the idea of infinite states and that creation is finished. So I would focus first and foremost on I mean, give meaning to all of those questions, but do it in a way that is in your favor, right? Do it in the way that all of the answers to those questions, what is he doing? What is he thinking? Why did he want to see me? Well, answer those in your favor, right? And continue to go back to that. Continue to go back to that. Continue to imagine the outcome that you desire, whatever that looks like. I know it can be frustrating. The 3D can be very frustrating, but revise anything that you do not want, that you do not like, and then give meaning to the questions, those what ifs. Give your own meaning and make sure that it's something that is ideal for you. Is he thinking about me? Of course he's thinking about me. How does he feel about me? He loves me. Duh. Right? More of that. I brought in an SP2. SP2. So is this another person? And now seeing the in and out communication again and not forcing anything, just noticing the feedback. We'll go within to to believe I'm prioritized. Yes. Yeah. And that's exactly how we wanna approach it. Like, when we see things happening in the 3D, when we're noticing things coming up in the 3D, we just we want to observe it, but from a place of not getting attached and not latching to it, right? Not letting yourself run with it. We can observe the feedback without forcing anything or giving any of our energy into it. Yeah, just noting the feedback. We'll go within to believe I'm prioritized. Yeah, that's it. You know, just note, observe, and then go within. Say, okay, from this feedback of the 3D, there's still something within me that says I'm not prioritized. So I'm going to go in and change that. Exactly. Simone, that's exactly what you want to do. Perfect. I manifested my ex-husband back since 2 years. I've been manifesting my ex-husband back for 2 years, not yet being in the end in 3D. Am I doing something wrong? I feel burned out. It gets harder and harder to trust and have faith. I'm so sorry, Luna. Yeah, and that's the more that time goes by because of how conditioned we are to the idea of time, this construct of time, it certainly can be harder to suspend disbelief the more time has passed. Um, but if you're feeling burned out, if it feels harder and harder, that's indication that there's been way too much effort and force going into this. Like, if we feel burned out, if we're feeling like it's hard, if we're feeling like it's a lot of work, if it feels like a chore, that means that we've been putting way too much conscious effort into it, right? Because we're trying to do that thing. We're trying to do this thing, do this assignment, do this work to get the 3D to change. And that's not how it works, right? That's trying to adjust the mirror before we've even done anything to change ourselves. Like, we can't change the reflection before we change ourselves, right? Um, so the whole idea and premise is we're imagining, we're enjoying what the feeling of our wish fulfilled is like because it feels good. Because it feels good. It feels good to do it, right? But if we hold on to this idea that I need to do this to get this, we're gonna constantly be looking to the 3D. We're gonna be constantly aware of their absence and that they're gone, they're not here, right? It's going to continuously bring us back to the state that says, "I don't have it." That's what trying to do something to get something, like, we are automatically doing that for ourselves. We have no choice but to go and keep looking to the 3D to see if it worked. And if it hasn't, it's only going to continue to impress that it's not working. Do you see? And this is kind of what my last video was about, of like really we gotta start to change the perspective of how we're looking at this. This is all the only objective consciously that we're doing is changing how we feel internally. Like, this has nothing to do with the 3D. I mean, it does in the sense that that's what we want, but as far as what we're doing consciously, we're just imagining and changing the internal world. We're getting acclimated to the internal state, and that will automatically change the reflection. But consciously, we can only do that. The rest is God. That's awareness. So I would perhaps change the perspective a little bit and really just, again, going back to focusing on the self concept, imagining yourself and feeling and getting familiar with the version of you that is back with your husband. Everything's great. Everything is beautiful. Everything's wonderful. What would that be like? How would you feel? What would you show up as? What would be like your beliefs and assumptions from that state, right? Like, get familiar with the version of you that's living in this desired outcome. But yeah, I know it's we get exhausted. I know. But continuing to try to put force and effort onto this is only going to burn us out. It's all it's gonna do. So take some of the pressure off. Hi, Missy. How can we respond to others questioning our manifestations? For example, friends asking if I'd go with them traveling or to gigs, but I don't have the money to do it. How can we respond? Thank you. Good question, Marta. And that's one thing I know for one of the challenges we feel is when the 3D is in conflict with what we're imagining, right? Like, how do we navigate that? How do we how do we approach that when the 3D is showing up very differently from what we're imagining? And first and foremost, I wouldn't lie. I certainly wouldn't lie and, you know, go and spend money that you don't have or feel like you need to do something because, you should be towing the line of your imagination. No, we can acknowledge that the 3D is what it is. We can acknowledge the state that we've been occupying, right? The state that says, I don't have enough money. Like we can know that. We don't have to try to like lie to ourselves. That's only going to make us feel delusional. It's only going to make us feel like we're dissociating. It's not going to be good, right? We still understand that the 3D is what it looks like right now, and that's okay because what we're ultimately doing is focusing on the internal world. So on the inside, it's very different than what may be on the outside, and that's okay, right? So in that example about what to do if your friends ask you to do something but you don't have money, you can either say like, I'd love to, but I cannot right now, or you can say, I let me think about that and get back to you, right? But then you go within. Then you go within and you imagine instead that you said yes, right? So that's basically revision. When something happens in the 3D that we don't like or that's lining up with that old story, we're just going in and imagining the outcome that we would have rather had instead. So we go in and in imagination, we say, "Yeah, sure. I'd love to. That sounds awesome." Right? So that's really kind of how we're approaching this. All of the work that we're doing, I hate using that word, but everything that we're doing, it's all internal, right? But that said, we're not literally trying to lie to ourselves and say that the 3D is something that it's not, right? That will make us feel crazy. That will make us feel crazy. Don't go spending a lot of money if you don't have it. Like that's not what we mean by living in the end. No. It's all in here. It's all in here. I hope that makes sense. I've never heard of Sats before finding you, and now I've been doing it every night. What? Okay, first off, that's awesome. That is awesome, Brittany. But you've never heard of Sats before? Are you I take it you must be new to the law of assumption. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, Sats was a technique that Neville Goddard. He taught that probably more than any other technique. That was as far as methods and techniques go, that was the main thing that he taught was Sats. So, I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope other people are talking about Sats. Missy, I started to practice meditation, especially the I am meditation. I still feel like I couldn't move forward with it. Do you have any tips? Excuse me. Still feel like you couldn't move forward with it? So, with the I am meditation, when I when I finally had a breakthrough with that one, because I tried to do the I am meditation for it was several tries, it was several goes of it, where I wasn't having any luck, any success, um, and it was when I stopped caring or when I stopped trying to get somewhere that it happened. So I guess let yourself just focus on being. Let yourself just focus on just be aware of your awareness and keep yourself in this moment as much as you can, right? Because it will happen when you least expect it to happen. That I can promise. I got something in my throat. What are your tips on ignoring the 3D when trying to manifest? So, yeah, and I gotta make a video about this. So, when I don't even know if ignoring is the right word, honestly, because it doesn't mean that we have to lie to ourselves. It doesn't mean that we have to put our head in the sand. Nothing of that sort. We want to just we want to know and understand that the 3D is just reflection of that old story, of that old state. And that because we're always moving in and out of states, that the 3D it's malleable, it's changeable, right? So even if it looks like crap now, even if it's not ideal right now in this moment, okay, doesn't matter because I'm going to go within, as within, so without, right? I can always go and experience what I want to experience in imagination. Like there's nothing stopping anyone from having the experience that you desire in your imagination. You can go there. The 4D is not it's not constrained by the bounds of time, right? We can go into the future and the past, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We can go anywhere. That's God's power right there. So knowing and understanding that, and knowing and understanding that what we imagine is what is ultimately reflected, then if I'm imagining this outcome, if I'm living in the end in my imagination, then regardless of what the 3D looks like now, it's going to change. It's going to change, right? So that's kind of the idea. That's the approach. The 3D doesn't matter. It truly doesn't because it's malleable. It's changeable. I don't need to try to literally ignore it or deny it and try to deceive myself because God cannot be mocked. And I'll be clear on that. Do not try to lie to yourself. It won't work. But it's whatever we imagine becomes your 3D expression. Hi, Missy. I'm manifesting confidence, but feel really insecure during the whole day. How do I handle this? It makes me really impatient and keeps me in the wanting state. Yeah, that's the other thing too. When we're doing this to try to get something, we're going to constantly feel like we're in that state of waiting, right? We're waiting for the change to happen in 3D. We're waiting for something, waiting for something, waiting for something. Um, instead, we want to take the approach of what would it be like as the most confident version of me? Like if I had all the confidence in the world, what would I be doing? What would I be thinking like? What would I say? What would I be like? Right? And continue to go back to that question. Continue to go back to that question. What is it like as the version of me that has all the confidence in the world? Like, how would that be different? What would I do differently? How would that, just capturing more and more of what that picture looks like, fleshing out more and more what that would feel like. That's the point. That's literally all we're doing consciously. That's it. And if you start to notice insecurity in the day to day, like as you're going about your day, if you start to notice you're feeling insecure about something, we want to catch that and use that as our cue that it's been too long since we've visited the state of confidence and imagination, right? It's been too long out in the 3D and up in my old story. I need to go back. I need to go back to that question of what would it be like? The version of me that is all the confidence, what does that look like? What does she how does she show up? How does she carry herself? What does she do differently? Keep going back to that. Keep going back to that. Keep going back to that. And do it because it feels good to explore it, right? So if we're constantly if we're feeling like we're doing this to get something, we're feeling like we're waiting for it. So, throw away everything, just go to the place of answering that question. Just answer the question. Mhm. Why does the ladder technique tell you to affirm the opposite? That you will not climb the ladder. Does that mean we should affirm against what we want? So so good question, Aaron. Um, so for those who might not know about the ladder technique, essentially we're imagining at night before bed that we're climbing a ladder. Like we are literally putting ourselves up and down a ladder in our imagination, feeling it, giving it the tones of reality to the best of our ability. And then during the day, we're reminding ourselves every time we think of a ladder, we say, I will not climb a ladder. I will not climb a ladder. Right. And the reason that we do that, what Neville was trying to show with that exercise is that regardless of what your thoughts are throughout the day to day, it's what you are imagining. It's what ultimately you believe, whatever is being impressed, that's going to be expressed, right? So it's basically saying, hey, be mindful of what you're imagining, especially in those windows before bed, in that drowsy state. There is a lot of power in that drowsy state. We definitely want to utilize that. But, if your beliefs and assumptions, if what you are imagining is in contrast with your words, then ultimately it's going to be the beliefs and what you're imagining that is outpictured. That was the point of why. Because if we say I will not climb a ladder, then we shouldn't climb a ladder, right? Except the fact that if you're imagining something in contrast, it's what you imagine that wins. That's what that means. So basically, changing the beliefs is the important thing. And we do that by imagining. Putting ourselves in the state that says, I am now doing the thing, I have the thing that I want. Missy, when you were doing revision in your SP manifestation process, did you loop it in a visualization in SATS? Loop How did you know it succeeded? When you were okay, so when you were doing revision in your okay, did you loop it in a visualization in SATS? Sometimes. Some of the things that I revised, I was putting a mental picture to it, yes. I was visualizing not everything. Some of the things that I revised were just, like, inner conversations, just hearing the conversation. Um, so yes and no. And really as far as whatever works best for you. We can revise through visualization, we can revise through affirmations, we can revise through scripting. You can use any of the techniques and apply it to revision. Revision is the same thing as imagining in the state of the wish fulfilled. It's just the past instead of the future, basically. So whatever technique, whatever resonates with you the most, whatever helps you to best capture that feeling of it, that will be what works for you, right? And how do I know it succeeded? My reactions changed. You'll know that the concept of self is changing, your self concept is changing, and that it's working because your reactions are going to be changing. The memory, that old story is not going to be coming up for you, right? When you think about the circumstance that happened, it's going to be the new memory that pops up, right? So Or if the old memory does come up, we don't have any reaction to it. It doesn't affect us in the same way that it once did. So that's how we know that it's working, right? What are your reactions to that old story versus the new story, right? What is coming up for you most naturally? And that's how you'll know, you were successful. I've been binge watching your own success story with the law video for the past week, and I wonder if you made a video about your Cannes Film Festival story because I'd love to hear it. I do need to make a video about that. Yes, absolutely. I haven't yet. I need to though, because that story is wild. It's gonna yeah, trying to pare it down to a 20-minute video, but yeah, I could yeah. Yeah, I need to do that. I need to do that because that was wild. Congratulations, when did you manifest getting engaged? Thank you. So we got engaged, July of 2021? Yeah, yeah, it's summer of 2021, I think it was July. Um, yeah. So he came back in January of 2018, got engaged July of 2021, and we got married last month. Thank you. Imagine. Um, Damn it, I lost my spot. Where was I? Do you know what's happening when I have a worry and it doesn't happen, but only when I drop the worry and believe it's not going to happen, it happens? I'm trying to follow JT. So you have a worry and it doesn't happen, but only when you drop the worry and believe it's not going to happen, it happens. I'm thoroughly confused. So when you genuinely believe something is not gonna happen, it happens, and vice versa? When you have a worry about something and it doesn't happen? So, yeah, if there's something that if there's something that you have confidence is going to happen and then it doesn't, or vice versa, that points to an underlying belief, right? Like, what are the core beliefs and assumptions that we have? Because things are gonna show up in our life in regards to that. So if we have a core belief that is in contrast with something that we may feel confident about in this moment, that's ultimately why. So if for example, let's say I have a core belief that I never get chosen. I always get overlooked. I'm always, second best or something like that. I'm always second place. And let's say I'm at my job and there's a promotion that comes up and I'm like, "Oh, sweet. I know I'm qualified. I know I've been kicking ass. That promotion's mine. I got this. I've been putting in all this overtime, yada yada." Well, then come promotion time, somebody else gets picked. But what the hell? I thought for sure I was gonna I've been doing all this stuff. I've been working here for so long. Why didn't that happen? I thought for sure it was gonna happen. Yeah. So I would be doing some exploration and see was there any conflict there? Was there anything that as far as what you have observed and just taken away from generally, your core beliefs and assumptions, like was there anything there that was in conflict? I hope that makes sense. I've noticed that since I've accepted that imagination creates, and I always get what I want despite what the 3D is showing me, my dreams about SP are getting nicer. I hope I'm on the right track. Awesome, April. And you are. Yeah, yeah, that's what that means. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, since you bought the pearl is what you did there. You decided that I'm going to accept that what I imagine creates my physical reality, and despite whatever it looks like right now, I'm always gonna get what I want because I know this. I know that imagining creates, regardless of the 3D, I always get what I want. That's buying the pearl. And now you're noticing that your dreams are changing. Yeah. Yeah, because you are changing. You see? You see how that works? That's awesome. That's awesome. Keep going. It's amazing. This is also liberating. Yay! It is. It is. It's freedom. It's freedom. I applied for your 12-week manifesting program. Will someone contact me on the next steps and price? Absolutely. Yes. Somebody will be reaching out to you as we get a little bit closer to the opening dates. Absolutely. Yeah. The next round starts next month, I believe about a couple weeks from now, but you will have somebody reaching out well before then and get you all taken care of and answer any questions that you have. Uh-huh. Hello, Jennifer. Hi. Hi. Missy, how to get rid of a rejection pattern of not being prioritized. Affirmations don't really help. Yeah, well, yeah. And affirmations, despite what some people might say, that they may not help for everybody. But that's okay because that's not the only way to go about this. How to get rid of a rejection pattern is to recondition the belief, right? We're overwriting the belief is what we're doing. Because right now, or at least what has been, is that there's a belief that you're not prioritized. That's what's creating the pattern. If we can look to the patterns in our lives, that will show you what your beliefs are. Like, period. So to change our beliefs, like, that is where the imagination comes in. That is where going into your internal world. That's the entire point. That's why we're doing what we're doing, right? It's so that you can begin to put your consciousness, your awareness into a state of something that is more preferred, something that is more enjoyable, right? Because you can go anywhere in imagination. You can do anything. That's the entire point. So we are, shutting out all of the physical world and the crap that comes with it, and we're just letting ourselves get familiar with the state of prioritized, right? How does it feel as the version of you that is always prioritized? Like, what would that look like? What would that be like? What would that feel like if you were always the one that was in first place? If you were always the one that got chosen? What would that be like? And just let yourself, like, marinate in that. Let yourself just get lost in the idea of it. That's how we go about. That's how we, because now when we do that, our awareness, what we are conscious of, is of something that we desire, right? Now our consciousness, now our awareness is fixed on something that is desirable versus the 3D outcomes that are bullshit, right? So taking our attention away from the 3D and placing it into the state of the wish fulfilled in imagination, that's how we change the belief. Because it's going to become more and more familiar to you. As you do that more and more, it's going to start, it's like an article of clothing that you've put on and you started to, break it in, so to speak. It's going to feel natural. It's going to start feeling real. Yeah. Yeah, that's the entire point of what we're trying to do here. We're breaking the patterns by changing the beliefs through the power of our imagination. All I do is think about a celebrity SP. What can I do to manifest her since I'm very in love with her? Good question, Ricky. Definitely check out the videos that I've made talking about how to manifest an SP, because it's the same with anyone, whether it's somebody that you know, whether it's an ex, whether it's a celebrity, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's going to be the same thing. But definitely check out the videos that I've made on how to go about doing that. Hey, Missy. When manifesting several items, i.e., SP, ideal job, financial abundance, how would you navigate your day when working on several desires simultaneously and dealing with 3D obligations? Thanks. Absolutely, Kim. Absolutely. So if there's multiple things that you want, right? There's several different areas that you're focused on. Um, how to navigate that? For me personally, this is why I love Isn't It Wonderful? Also known as the lullaby method, the lullaby technique. For this reason, because this allows you to just capture the general state, the general feeling, and it's going to apply and it's going to show up in all areas of life, right? So as I go about my day to day, I stop in moments here and there and just give thanks. I give thanks to both the things that are seen and not yet seen, right? I just let myself, yeah, I allow myself to tap into that feeling of blessed. Like, how incredible that all of these things have worked out for me. How amazing that I've come from where I've been to where I am now. Isn't it wonderful where I am now and how far I've come? Because what you're going to notice when you do that is that that's going to apply to every area of your life. So it's not it's not fixing on one thing. It's not like we have to have, an imaginal act for this. We have to have one for this. Like, for 20 different things that we want to change, that's a lot. That's going to get overwhelming quick. Instead, you can capture it with one feeling. And that, just answering the question of what would it feel like if I now had everything that I wanted? Like, what would that feel like? What would that be like? And let yourself go there. That's my preference anyways. Now, if you want to have like a different sat scene for different circumstances and different things that you want, that's fine. I mean, you can do that if it's something that is more ideal for you, but I don't know. I found it much easier to just give thanks for all the blessings, both seen and not yet seen. Hello. Hello from Spain. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How do you change the past without getting caught up in the feeling of the old story? How do you change the past? Oh, so how do you do revision without accidentally falling back into that old story? I take it is your question? Yeah. So with revision, once again, we're not trying to lie to ourselves. We're not trying to tell ourselves that, this undesirable thing didn't happen. We're not trying to say that, oh, this bad thing didn't really happen, right? Because our mind is immediately going to reject that notion. Our mind is going to say, yes, that terrible thing did happen. How dare you? It did. Instead, we're saying, okay, I understand that that thing happened and it sucked. But knowing that creation is finished, knowing that all things are finished, all states exist for past, present, and future. What would it be like if this had happened instead? What would it be like if this thing had played out in this way instead of that way? You see what I mean? So you're just playing with it now. You're just playing with an idea of a parallel reality. Like if I had the ability to step into a whole other world with a whole different outcome, what would that look like? What would that be like? and just play with it like that. It's when we're trying to like trying to convince ourselves of something, trying to like, oh, don't even let yourself go anywhere near that old story. Um, that we get tripped up about this, right? Like we can acknowledge that that thing happened, like in this timeline or in this world. We're just entertaining a new state instead. Like, what if it happened differently? What would that look like? Which is make it easier to begin to approach it and thus occupy it. Mm, I have aphantasia. I can't visualize. Is it possible to manifest? Absolutely. Absolutely. Even if we can't visualize, that's okay. Yeah, and I know that there are people that have, literally cannot create mental pictures or mental pictures don't come naturally to them. Um, and that's okay because you're still manifesting. You're still manifesting all the time. Just if unable to visualize, well, what does come more naturally to you? Are you able to hear a conversation in your mind? Are you able to get a sense of what something feels like as far as like the physical sense of touch? Or even just letting yourself get kind of lost in a daydream just to get you started on the path of feeling what that would be like, right? Um, no, it's never the case that we have to visualize in order to get this to come to pass. No. Mm, never ever. Yeah, because you are always manifesting anyways, right? Lost my spot again. Damn it. Hi, Missy. I've been affirming and visualizing and now feeling having my SP for about 5 months, along with self concept. I've copies of her vehicle and her name everywhere, yet no movement. Do I just keep going? Um, so you've been affirming, you've been visualizing, and feeling like you have your SP for about 5 months. Self concept as well. I'm a little confused by that. Self concept is not a technique. Self concept is who you identify as, like the beliefs and assumptions that you identify with. Your conception of self is the sum total of your beliefs, your assumptions about yourself, other people, and the world around you. Um, there's an idea that's been going around that doing self concept is saying like I'm loved, I'm chosen, I'm beautiful, and don't get me wrong, that's great, but that's not what that means. That's not what that means. Um, I have copies of her vehicle. Well, okay, so you've been doing all these techniques. You see her name everywhere, or you've got copies of her name everywhere, yet no movement. Where are you dwelling in consciousness in your day to day? Like in your mental diet, in your day to day, what are you aware of? What are you bringing into awareness? Is it, what's coming up for you naturally? Is it the old story? Is it the fact that it's not here yet? Is it the fact that you've been doing this for X amount of time and nothing's happening? Because that is continuing to bring into awareness that we don't have it. We want to pay close attention. We want to be careful of like what are we observing throughout our day to day, right? Because we can be doing techniques, here and there throughout the day, but if we're operating from that old story the rest of the time, so I guess what I would ask is like How do you feel in your day to day? Does it feel like fulfillment or does it feel like absence? And with that understood, and once you have clarified that, now you know where to go. If there's something that needs to be changed, 'cause it's the feeling. We wanna get to the feeling, like, actually in our day to day. The natural thoughts, the natural reactions should be from the state of the wish fulfilled if we are in fact living in the end. Does cleaning your house affect your vibration? Uh, I mean, no. Wait. So, I mean, it feels good to be in a clean house, right? I mean, I love cleaning. I love like it's there's something very zen about cleaning. I've always really enjoyed it, and it's a great opportunity to let yourself get lost in your imagination. So in that sense, I guess, but does it affect your vibration? I don't know exactly what you mean by that. It feels good. It feels good to be in a clean house. So I guess in that sense. Neville Goddard makes this sound so easy. Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, I don't know if I would describe this as easy. The law is simple, not necessarily easy. I would love a video about the glowing goddess exercise you use to change your self-concept. I've been playing with the idea in imagination. It's been fun. Absolutely. Absolutely, Sarah. Yeah. Yeah, it has been a while since I've made any kind of technique video. That's a good idea. Yeah. I like that. And I'm glad you've been enjoying it. Good. Good, good, good. Fun fact, regular use of CBD oil will help you stay out of fight or flight all day. Not manifesting related, but might help someone. Awesome. Actually, Jenna, that is absolutely manifesting related. If we are in fight or flight mode, it's going to feel very difficult to relax from that place, right? Because if our in our nervous system the switch is on like run, fear, threat, something is a threat. Relaxing in the state of the wish fulfilled is going to feel very challenging from that place. Yeah. So the fight or flight does absolutely play a role. Yeah. What can I do to get my SP manifestation to finally stick? I will get contact for a couple of weeks, but then he pulls back and goes. I don't want to be heartbroken anymore. Oh, Mackenzie. Absolutely. So, and that's my ultimate aim with this whole channel and what I want to do for all of you is, you know, share the importance of maintaining that state, right? It's one thing to manifest a change in the 3D, right? Like we can temporarily change our mood and, change our feeling, I guess, and see a temporary change in the 3D. But if we then go right back to the 3D and the old story, and that's typically what happens, right? We'll be able to imagine for a moment while there's no contact, we'll be able to let ourselves get lost in imagination, but then they come back and instead of continuing to remember that this is all internal, we turn our attention back to the 3D. We turn our attention back to what they're doing, what they're saying, so on and so forth. We have to remember that the law is always working. This is something that's always happening. So even after we get our manifestation, it doesn't stop there, right? It's not like, "Okay, that's done. No more work left to do." No. No, we are continuing to go within and imagine what we desire to experience, especially if the 3D starts showing us the opposite. But even before that, we want to continue to go within. And really that's where I'm trying to help you guys turn the attention from the 3D to in here. It's always in here. This is where permanent change is held. And you will get there. I was there very much in the same place myself. I did the same exact thing. I'd manifested contact just to have it blow up again. So, yeah, this is all, you know, shaping and refining the internal world. You had a video about going all in, especially with inconsistent manifestations. What did you do after going all in that was different from your previous method of manifesting? What did I do differently after going all in that was so what did I do differently after going all in versus my previous method of manifestation? Well, I stopped wavering. What did I do after going all in? I stuck with that, and I truly do think I truly do believe that the fact that I gave myself that choice did help with that, right? I wasn't trying to, like, force myself to believe something that perhaps I was doubting, perhaps I was, like, I said, "Okay, I can, either go all in or, accept that, maybe this isn't it. Maybe this doesn't work, and if my results are not consistent, maybe it doesn't work and I can walk away." But the fact that I even gave myself that option, I truly feel like it cemented something in me. So when I did choose, when I said, "No, I am gonna go all in," it did allow me to actually go all in. Like, there wasn't the double-mindedness, perhaps like there had been before, and that's really the only thing I did different. Yeah. And that and I stopped looking at the 3D. That was the other thing. I stopped looking to the 3D entirely. Like, I do not care about the 3D. I do not care. So, yeah, I gave myself a choice, which I think just really helped me to cement that decision, and I stopped looking at the 3D entirely with everything. Will this be saved? Yeah, yeah. Even after the live, it's gonna be here to replay for others. Yeah, it's saved on YouTube. Hey, Missy, I hope I'm not too late. You are not too late, Ashley. Is it normal to go through many rounds of messing up and giving up before finally getting it, that it's about changing yourself? So, is it normal to go through many rounds of messing up and giving up before you finally get it that this is about changing yourself? Yup. Yep, yep, yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's I mean, I can only speak for my journey and what I have seen with other people, of course, but very much I would mess up and give up all the time. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I lots of frustration. Yeah, and that really was, I guess, the epiphany that I had the epiphany that I had was realizing that this isn't about trying to change the outside. This is about changing within. Like, that was my epiphany, but yeah, before I had that realization, oh, yeah. There's a lot of table flipping and frustration for sure. I've been teaching law of assumption to my teenage niece. She manifested many things already, one of which was meeting Baby Rex, our favorite singer. That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Teach the children. That is fantastic. Oh, sorry, Ashley, I didn't see the other part of your question. I would get partial manifestations with Birds Before Land and never come to completion, then seem to get more complete. That seem to get more complete each round of manifesting. Yeah. Mhm. Well, so I think you're referring to ego backlash, like having like imagining feeling good and then experiencing that backlash. But then once we come back around to it, it gets easier each time. Yeah, that's completely normal. I think I have placed conditions like don't try, drop it, stay in the now, be grateful, believe, trust. It will happen when I no longer want. How to know limitless always? Simone, I'm a little bit confused. So you put conditions on things that you don't like? Is that what you mean? How to know you are limitless always? Well, and I that does come through faith, right? That does come through faith, um, which can be when we start on this journey, we don't have unwavering faith, at least for the most part. Most of us don't. Um, I'm trying to make sure I understand your question. Sorry. Like you have placed conditions like don't try. It will happen when you no longer want it. Okay, I understand now. I wouldn't say so. Conditioning is conditioning your desire is saying like something needs to happen before this can happen. This can only happen when this happens. So I mean, in a way, like I'd see it like what you're doing there, and I could be wrong, but are you trying to force yourself to drop it? Are you trying to force yourself to do all that? Because it sounds like there's still that part that's trying to manifest this thing, that's trying to get this thing, and you're trying to remind yourself of all the ways to get this thing. Um, that all fell away for me when I stopped trying to get it in the 3D. Like, just allow yourself to enjoy the feeling of it. Yeah, I think there's a little bit confusion around what conditioning means. Even Neville says, "Don't condition your desire," yet says, "Imagine what it would feel like," which is forcing conditioning the desire. No, no, not so much, not so much. So, well, imagination is how we move into another state, right? Like, how we can well, let me back up. Let me back up. We move state to state based on the beliefs and assumptions, right? Our natural beliefs and assumptions, our core belief and assumptions are going to determine the state of consciousness or the reality that we experience. If we want to change that, if we want to become conscious of that, we can imagine something different, right? We can imagine something different than what we might believe in this moment is going to happen. We can do that. Then that is our power. That is the power of Jesus Christ, right? Christ within you. It's your own wonderful human imagination. So to imagine the feeling of it is to leave an impression. And that impression ultimately becomes an expression. So again, conditioning means that that's when we put these like I have to do this, this, and that to get it, right? But this isn't about getting it in the 3D. The mirror is going to change when we change. That is going to happen. We don't need to concern ourselves with that. I hope that's making sense. All right, I got time for maybe one more question. I'm having a good time visualizing, feeling it real, and working on my self-concept. Should I assume it's done, that the seed is planted after each technique? At what point do I know it's done? Good question, Jennifer. Absolutely. So, first off, it's awesome to hear that you're enjoying your visualizations and feeling it. Should you assume it's done, that the seed is planted after each technique? Yes, because if once felt in imagination, like once you capture that feeling of it, as if you are now experiencing it, that seed is planted. It is in fact planted. It's done. Yeah. That's all we need to do to plant the seed is just have the feeling of it. That's literally it. At what point do I know it's done? When you no longer react to that old story. At what point do I know it's done? Yeah. You'll know it's done based on your natural reactions, the thoughts that come up for you, right? So if we notice that the old story is coming back, we're starting to get some of those fears and doubts creeping in, that is your cue, that is your reminder that we want to go back to that state in imagination. We want to go back and capture that feeling again. And it may take a few times of doing that. And that's okay. Because inevitably we get to the place where it becomes solidified for us. Like if we spend enough time occupying a new state in imagination, we're gonna feel like it's actually done, like in the 3D done. We're gonna feel like there's nothing left to do. And that's really, you know it's done when it feels like there's nothing left you need to do. I hope that helps. All right. Yeah. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Hello, David. Hello, hello. All right. This went by way too quickly, but I do need to get going, you guys, unfortunately. This has been so much fun. And honestly, your questions have been amazing. All of you are absolutely incredible. I do hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Again, thank you for being here. And I hope to see you here next weekend. Next time, we'll dive into more Q&As. Much love to all of you. Be safe, and I will see you soon. Mwah. Bye, guys.